Council meeting to order. Invocation by Chapter Victory.
Dear Heavenly Father, we give you great thanks for the meeting here at this Taylorville City Council meeting. We praise your holy name, Lord, and let your spirit work amongst these men and women in our community. Guide them, keep them in good health, and Lord, help us above all. Keep us in the right direction. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Jeff Brown.
Here.
Megan Bryant.
Here.
Mary Beth.
Here.
Steve Wilson.
Here.
Kathy Griffin.
Here.
Jim Muller.
Here.
Crystal Teddy.
Here.
Jeremy Wilson.
Here.
All aldermen are present. Tonight I'd like to honor the Honor Guard, made up of members of the American Legion and the VFW. These men and women spend many hours honoring our fallen soldiers at the cemetery. My personal thanks goes out to each and every one of you, and I want to personally thank you for your service. If you would please stand up when I call your name. Dean Ray, Dave Hendricks, Lynn Bond, Bill Bond, Chuck Snyder, Scott Campbell, Bill Coash, Rick Hobbs, Doc Prose, Glenn Goodrich, Jim Businger, Ricky Reed, the Honor Guard Chaplain, other members that aren't here, Denny Beavers, Eddie Legg, Bruce Howell, Dennis Schilling, Tony Durbin, Roger Schroyer, David Collier, Micah Hankla, and Barry Jones. Let's give these Honor Guard a round of applause. I got cake in the conference room for everyone, and if you want to go to your establishments, I'll buy you beers too tonight. I'll stop in tomorrow. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Dave. I'll be on card staff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the honors vote designation. We have a new police officer. Josh Niles, if you'll step forward. Chief Wheeler.
Mayor, City Council, this is our new officer, lateral hire, Joshua Niles, badge number 338. He came from the village of Stony. And glad to have him. And he's been here a week so far, he's doing a good job. So, welcome aboard. Thank you.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer according to the best of your ability?
Yes.
Congratulations.
This is his family over here. You want to introduce them?
Yeah, that's my girlfriend Bailey, my mom Debbie, my dad Terry, and my brother Jeff.
Nice to meet you. Say thanks to all of them.
Thank you very much.
Always try to embarrass them.
Yeah. We appreciate it.
We're glad to have you.
It's gonna be right.
Congratulations.
It's still required to do backflip.
Josh, if you and your family would like to enjoy cake, there's plenty in the conference.
Yeah.
There's none left now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, motion to approve the omnibus vote designation. Motion by Alderman Skoltedi, second. Alderman Brown. Roll call.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Mary Beth.
Yes.
Steve Wilson.
Yes.
Kathy Griffin.
Yes.
Jim Muller.
Yes.
Crystal Teddy.
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson.
Yes.
Jeff Brown.
Yes.
Motion approved 8-0. Minutes of the public hearing held July 19, 2021. Minutes of the regular meeting, July 19, 2021. Minutes of the Street and Sewer Committee meeting held July 22nd, 2021. Minutes of the Public Facilities Committee meeting held July 22nd, 2021. Motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
By Alderman Wilson, second. Alderman Brown, questions or comments? Roll call.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
George Tenet?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Chris Petty?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes. Motion carries 8-0. SmallTown Taylorville update. Mr. Steve Craig.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for the time. For the new council members, we had presented an advertising budget last year to the council, and the council was gracious enough to put together or approve a $65,000 advertising budget for our city. It's something that really hadn't been done that I could see in other cities around, and we formed a committee based off of the concept from Kathy Driscoll, who said, why don't we do a commercial for our town? Well, that kind of started the ball rolling, and it expanded. The chamber got involved, the downtown Taylorville group got involved, and we came up with a SmallTown Taylorville committee then that was put together, which was a group of folks that have expertise in our internet systems and in advertising, and we put together a fantastic program. The development budget was about $15,000 of that to get a website going, to get our Facebook advertising up and going, to get artwork and logos going. And then the rest of the budget, which is about $50,000 a year, is actually hardcore advertising that you're getting for the city. And those advertising methods are billboards. We've got billboard up by Decatur and one up by Elkhart, which is, I'm not sure what the viewership is. I could probably get that statistics, but it's thousands, literally, when you drive by it. We have our local newspaper. You've been seeing the ads in there for the SmallTown Taylorville type advertising, and our downtown farmers market. There we go, couldn't come up with the word. And our late night shopping and things like that. You've been seeing that about every week, almost in there. If you check in with any of the WTIM radio stations, you'll be, Miller Media, you'll be hearing advertising on a daily basis for SmallTown Taylorville, and that's reaching out through his 5 radio stations throughout the entire region here. And then Facebook, we hired Liz Conway from Creatively ELC, is that it? Okay. To put together our Facebook page, and she's actually our advertising manager, if you will. She's really the central source who's now guiding the force on a daily basis. And we started with, nothing. It's a great place to start because you can only get better. And now, and I'll show you these statistics in a little while here, our viewings and our Facebook following is starting to go off the charts. I was pretty impressed with what Liz came up with just a little while ago that I'll show you here. I've got Lee and Diane Skinner here. They're Dear Yesteryear folks, and then of course the 2 new stores and LEDs. I never can quite say that.
LEDs, yeah.
Okay, and then the 2 new stores downtown, which are
Storehouse on Market and Wonder and Rhyme.
There you go. Did anybody go in there yet? See those? Okay.
Thank you.
So they have been kind of personally leading the way on the development of more storefronts in town and more retailing in town. And this program is tied hand in hand to that. This partly came in originally, like I said, Kathy kind of started the idea with a commercial, and then these folks Diane brought up a book in particular that's called
Town Inc.
Town Inc. Okay, and that book talks about that a rising tide raises all ships. So the concept is, if you put money, advertising money, and promote your town as much as you do your individual business, what happens to our town? Well, it just keeps on growing. And it keeps on giving, because then we get the retail dollars in to our economy, and that helps all of us here, because we get these out-of-town folks coming in and spending their money, and it helps create more revenue stream through our sales tax. And our business development sales tax is what's paying for this, by the way. That's where the money came from that the council authorized to be spent. So it's a good use of money. It's there to be, build our city with, and I think that it's starting to pay dividends How many retail shops have we had open up just lately? You're two for sure, and then,
Right, and then there's, well, the bookstore, the, organic, sustainability store. Yes, thank you.
Sustainability store, there you go.
I know, well, Rebecca's took over a store, and they're going to give that new life, I guess.
And then we have another children's shop over here.
Oh, that's right, yes, by Happy Big Kids.
Bundles and
Yes.
Bliss, right, that's another one. So we're seeing activity and an expansion of our retail economy, literally, that I don't think our town has seen in quite some time. Now, it's these little shops that are helping. I mean, certainly the Business Development Fund has augmented a lot of development. Larry's with his creamery, right? That was a good one, that was a nice development for us. What other ones did we have that we've spent money on here, Mary?
Remember
Remember?
liquor store being a big improvement for
That's
Cheatham Street.
Huge improvement. Yeah, that building is looking absolutely awesome.
Coffee shop.
Yeah.
Another new coffee shop coming. I mean, there's been,
Olivio's is coming.
Olivio's is coming. Yeah, there's been development after development after development. So our SmallTown Taylorville website is right here in front of you. Show that so council can see it. I don't know if everybody can quite see that better, but if you get a chance, if you haven't been on it, please go look, because it's a pretty amazing site. It's got a lot to it. It actually, if you hit the shopping button, see, I've got our activity. Yeah, we go. Okay, you've got all of the shopping sites in Taylorville. If you click on one, it kind of expands it. Of course, I can probably go in on it. There we go. Get it up there. And you can see all of the shopping sites in Taylorville. If you click on one in particular, it'll pop up its site, and then it's got a link to whatever link that they've, okay, there's the Best for Less page. At this point, that's probably going to change, I'm sure, as I think the building front has already changed, hasn't it? I think I saw some significant changes there. We've got the same thing going for dining. And here's all of our dining places. It's hard to believe how much this town has to offer. When you start digging into this site, our town is just an amazing group of restaurants, retail, all kinds of stuff. So here's all of the sites down below where you can individually click on the company's page or the restaurant's page and take a look. We've got our visit page. We've got a printable map for our town, which is here. This is a great piece. Our retailers are handing this map out. We print these every first Friday of the month is Retail Shopping Late Night. That used to be, when we were kids, that's the way it used to be. Well, we brought that back, and that was an idea of Diane and Lee over here to bring that back and to have an 8 o'clock p.m. late night shopping event. Now, this Friday, we've kind of, it takes a while to grow. You got to get the retailers to believe that they want to sit there for that long, right? First few nights are not the best. It started to come around, and people are starting to get used to coming into town. This Friday, we have 12 retailers participating. We have a car club that's coming with, let's see, it's Gail Lum and what's the other person's name? I can't think of it. You had it over there.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
So they are coming to the parking lot that the Skinners bought, the concrete parking lot down here. The Skinner. Yeah.
Carol Gowdy is the other.
What was the other one?
Carol Gowdy.
Okay, they have a car club, and they're gonna come there at 5 o'clock on Friday night, and they're gonna arrange all of their old cars, and then at 8 o'clock when the stores are closing, they're gonna be doing a couple laps around the square. So, and they're gonna be doing that every Friday for us. Every first Friday of the month is late night shopping. So every first Friday of the month, they've committed to do that for us. So we're gonna start advertising that. We're gonna get some footage off of that, we'll get some live video off of that, and we will push that out to our Facebook page, which will then help really bolster our town some more, because again, that's kind of cool and eclectic. That's what small town is all about, right? So if you take a look at how many restaurants there are and how many stores there are, places to eat, places to shop, it's an amazing amount. Our Facebook page then looks like this, and here's some statistics that I want to share with you. We post on this daily, several times a week, daily, and I got to show you this. This is our insights picture. This is how many people. Whoa. That showed the monthly views. Let's look at the monthly views. That's actually easier to see. The people reached for the last 28 days We've reached 119,000 people on our Facebook page, folks. That's an incredible number. I mean, I do a ton of Facebook advertising with my real estate business, and I mean, I spend a bunch of money. I've only reached 57,000. So this is penetrating, and it's penetrating more areas, and you're getting more post engagements. That's the other nice part. You're actually getting people clicking on it. This is how many people it's getting out to. This is how many people are actually clicking on it. Look at how many people liked our page last month. 1,059 people liked our page last month. The total likes on this page are 3,345. That took me 4 years to hit in my business. This has been going since, when we opened this up, March?
March, yeah.
We opened this up in March. These are incredible statistics, and I think you should be starting to see it on a retail level. I know that we can't really pull apples to apples on tax revenue because we had the COVID, which was a weird year for everybody, so it'll take us another business cycle to really come up with it. But I think if you could walk around and ask your retailers, you've got to be seeing some increased activity. I mean, we're seeing more people down here on the nights. The square is pretty packed on most nights, and you're seeing Nesty's going off the charts, Kluge's doing really well in the restaurants, and Florenda, she just bought another section of buildings. That must be a positive move, right? So you've got this level of statistics, which I think is pretty amazing. Now, this is the late night shopping event that we are putting together for this coming, and here's all the stores for this Friday. These are the stores will be staying open until 8 o'clock. If you get a chance, go on this, share it with your friends, go to our website, talk about it. It is a social network. That's what we're creating here for marketing, and it's the least expensive way to get our product out, right? So we, and our town is the product. So we've been working on this. We've got analytics, and I like to look at this. This was website data. Let's see if I can pull this up. There we go. No, I want to go back one. Okay, here's our June website data. We have Google checking our website to let us know who's using it, where it's coming from. So if we have an advertising package out there with anybody, we want to know, is it working? Are they clicking on it, and is it getting to our website? And this is where we had 1,238 users. We had 1,171 new users. Now, these statistics are from May. This is important because I want to show you what just happened in July. So these were 1,238 users. This is where they came from. Remember Facebook? There it is. Mm-hmm. Google. We had a product that we were using called geofencing. We pulled away from that because they weren't giving us the click-throughs that we thought we should be getting compared to what they were reporting. And we didn't think that the quality of the client was actually the right type of client because they were coming in off of gaming, which is probably a youth type thing, and it might have been a misclick even, right? So we want people that are shoppers, spenders, people with capital to spend, so we want to target our advertising. So this is where they were coming from. Again, keep this in mind, May. So then let's take a look and see what, okay, this is July. Look at the user count. Almost double. This is strong. We have an additional new users of 2,000. That number was just 1,000. This is really impressive. I can't tell you how hard these statistics are to get. And then the number of sessions, 2,400 session. Look at the number of page views, and look at how many pages per session they're using. So they're staying on our page and they're clicking. They're drilling into our site to see more what we're about. That's really, really an important component of this. So statistics are on our side. We are picking up the pace, and we're picking it up. It's on an incline like this. This time next year, I'm not sure where it's going to be, but it'll be pretty shocking, I think. And I think our revenue streams will be picking up. We'll have a lot of activity in our town, and that's the goal of the whole thing. We looked at that Facebook statistic just a little while ago, which was 100 and some users. Okay, check this out. Here is April. Remember we had 117,000. Look at April, it was only 39. See what I mean? We are building extreme momentum here. we're starting to get a geometric progression here, which is pretty amazing. So that's, again, a look back and a look forward. We have been advertising in the Buzz magazine and in the Illinois Times. And those are really good additional components to throw in. It's not just a printed media. This is also web media too, because both of these have extensive web presences where they're getting anywhere between, what is the Buzz, like 60,000 a month for activity levels? Yeah, and Illinois Times is even beyond that. So we have this ad being placed. This is the Illinois Times?
No, this is the Buzz.
This is the Buzz, okay.
Comes out tomorrow.
Okay, this will be going out tomorrow. So we're already advertising fall open houses. This is our first Friday event, that's what we're calling it. We've got everybody listed, and we've got a fantastic little map that somebody can really take a look at and see. And again, this is out on their web, not just in the print. So that's one of them. And then we have also been running the Illinois Times, and the Illinois Times, this was our Journey in July. Did anybody come up to Journey in July? Did you see? You did? Big crowd?
Big crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much off the charts. The place was packed.
Yeah.
Nasty said it was the best night ever.
That's a big statement right
Vintage
there.
Dresser said the same thing, best
Better
day
than their
ever.
opening night, to be honest with you. That's what Nasty
Even
wrote.
Maurice's commented that that was such a huge thing, drawing people past them to go to the square. Their profits went way up.
That's what it's all about, are these events actually becoming successful? And this one was a chart stopper, it really truly was. This was an example of what we advertised in the Illinois Times in their June edition, which helped pull that sale through.
And that was only the second year for Journey in July, just to give you an idea.
So here's another Illinois Times ad that was placed, come for a day trip to Taylorville. And that's a nice ad. This ties into what our billboards look like too. So it all works together. All the artwork is similar. The logo was picked. The colors were picked. This was a very well designed total package project. So that's pretty much, I think, everything. Did I miss anything?
Oh, I just want to add that as a retailer, I am hearing from the customers, I'm hearing things like, I didn't know Taylorville had so much to offer. I'm going to go back and get my friends and come back on a day trip. I'm also seeing comments like that on our Facebook ads on the SmallTown Taylorville, as well as the ads that maybe we do. People will say, have you been to Taylorville? Some people will respond, oh my gosh, cute town, great shops, great places to eat, you have to go. And so, the customers that have already been here are helping us promote now, So I'm hearing and seeing a lot of it. So I think it's nothing but positive.
And out of all the folks that came for Journey in July, we do know of a couple, 2 girls that stayed here in Taylorville for 3 nights of Journey in July.
From Tennessee.
From Tennessee.
Right. They were here for our grand opening, and we're planning on staying for Journey in July anyway. But they were familiar with Vintage Dresser. They were familiar with Farmhouse Sign, so they'd already been familiar with a lot of the places here. And they just decided to spend the whole weekend here. And they were from Tennessee.
And that was their first time they ever came, personally came. But they kind of knew the town already before they even got here.
Yeah.
So I thank you for your faith in our project, and we'll come back and show you some continued success a little bit later in the year again. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. We're all around, either selling real estate or selling product up the stores. Right? Okay.
We're
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ordinance, an ordinance authorizing and providing for the issue of taxable general obligation refunding bonds, alternate revenue source, series 2021 of the city, for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding alternate bonds of the city, providing for the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay such principal and interest if the pledged revenues are insufficient to make such payments, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof. Motions for the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Can I speak to the moment?
Yes, sir.
That ordinance that you just read and the second ordinance that's on the agenda will require your vote as well. Each of you should have received from me this afternoon a completed ordinances with all the blanks filled out that we received from David Pistorius' office this afternoon after speaking with his office. I also conversed with the bond counsel, and so now I think later this afternoon, you receive the exhibits A, B, and C for these two ordinances. Mr. Mayor, in order for the city clerk to certify the minutes of these proceedings, and in order for me to write a city attorney opinion letters to go to bond counsel with these issuance, you're going to need to read that script that we sent to you on this ordinance. I don't know if you have that in front of you. Do you?
I do not.
Okay, let me read it for you. How's that?
That's fine.
Okay, Mr. Mayor is announcing that a proposal has been received from People's National Bank of Kewanee, Illinois, for the purchase of $1,172,000 general obligation alternate bonds of the city. And the city council should consider the adoption of this ordinance, providing for the issuance of said alternate bonds for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of the city, providing for the pledge of certain revenues for the payment of principal and interest on the bonds and the levy of a direct annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest if the pledged revenues are insufficient to make the payment. Now, Mr. Mayor, with the help, I understand David Pistorius is at this meeting.
Correct?
Okay, with his assistance, you could summarize the pertinent terms of this proposal. What's the interest rate? What is the maturity for these bonds? What is the actual purchase price and the tax levy? So with Mr. Pistorius' assistance, perhaps we can enlighten the public what it is that you're voting on.
All right, David?
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rocky.
You bet.
Good to be with you guys. Bonds are sold. Kewanee National Bank in Kewanee, Illinois is the actual purchaser, as you heard in that statement. We did pretty good. We came in, and I did put in front of you the final maturity schedule to show you the bonds that were refunded. If you remember, this is the end of a process. The first step we had to go through and adopt in June. You adopted an ordinance of intent that had to be published in the paper, and it went through a 30-day petition period. No petitions were received, and so that gives you the authority to be here tonight to approve the bond issue process. Originally, that ordinance of intent was for $1,210,000. We actually issued less than that, and the reason for that is we got a really good interest rate on the sale of the bonds. And you can see that the final interest rate here is 1.89%. The numbers that we had run earlier were in the 2 to 2.25% range, I believe, and so we came in under 2% with this final sale. The other pertinent point to point out, you had chosen in your discussions to move in these first 5 years. We're not able to lower the payments very much. We're at that 225 mark with your payments. And then you wanted it to go to 175,000 thereafter. And speaking with the mayor and with the rates that came in, we had about 44,000 left in the last year. And we needed to make that 100,000, so we would have had to move some bonds down to do that, which would have eaten up some of the savings. And so we decided to bump the remaining payment structure from 175 to 180,000. That shortens your issue payback a year, and so it eliminated that last year with that. So it, all said and done, it came in very well. The bond ordinance itself, and what the mayor read says that there's a tax that acts as a backup. The bond ordinance itself, once approved, will get filed with the county clerk, just as the original issue did. Along with that, in the closing documents is a certificate of reduction of tax form that will change the levies that were on file from the original issue and eliminate what we need to eliminate and so forth. Other than that, August 24th is the closing date, and that is when all the monies will transfer and be put where they're supposed to be put, as far as the bond ordinance as well as the escrow ordinance. So that's kind of it. In a nutshell, you will continue to do an annual abatement of that tax levy because we've pledged telecommunications tax as well as the gaming tax to cover the debt service with this. So we would need to continue to do the annual abatement.
Thank you.
Yes.
And in layman's terms, we're gonna save about $140,000 by doing
A
this.
little over 146,000 and with this restructure is what you're saving.
Right. It's well worth it.
With that, Mr. Mayor, I think if there's no further discussion, you can ask for a motion second to approve this ordinance.
Okay, motion to approve by Alderman Bud, second.
So moved.
Alderman Driscoll, questions or comments for either Rocky or David? Roll call?
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Steve Dorsones.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Crystal Teddy.
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson.
Yes.
Doug Brown.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Mayor Barry.
Yes, motion carries 9-0. An ordinance
Mr.
authorizing.
Mayor, Mayor, if I'm interrupting again on the script here, is that now that you declared the motion carried, the ordinance adopted, sometime during this open meeting before you adjourn, you were to sign that ordinance and present it to David so that he can get it recorded and I guess recorded with the city council.
We'll sign it right now, David, if you're ready.
Julie actually has them.
Yeah, all kinds of copies.
and-
everybody
and-
signed.
Let's do if we could do the execution of the escrow agreement.
Well, we're gonna do the execution of the escrow agreement, Rocky, and then we'll sign these. Is that all right?
Yes, yeah, right.
Need an ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection with the issue of taxable general obligation refunding bond, alternate revenue source, series 2021 of the city. Need a motion to approve that ordinance. Alderman Bud?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
excuse me, again, on the script, you're announcing that the proceeds of the city's taxable general obligation refunding bonds, alternate revenue source, series 2021, will be used to refund the outstanding alternate bonds of the city, and in connection therewith, it's going to be necessary for the city to enter into this escrow agreement with Heartland Bank and Trust Company in Normal, Illinois, and that the city should consider the adoption of this ordinance that will authorize and direct the execution of that escrow agreement. And I think you read on behalf of the city clerk the name of that ordinance. So if there's no questions presented as to the ordinance or to what that escrow agreement's all about, you should call for a motion second to adopt that ordinance.
Motion to approve that ordinance. Motion of Alderman Bud, second by Alderman Brown. Questions or comments? Roll
Mr.
call.
David Pistorius have any comments to make about the
David, do you have any comments?
That's going to be handled.
No, basically, the bond proceeds after the cost of issuance will be deposited into that escrow account with Heartland Bank. They're now in charge of those. They will call the bonds in appropriately at their call date, which is December 1 of 22, and then those monies will be paid off to those original purchasers of that issue, and that will be closed out. And at that time, if there's any extra interest possibly in that, it would come back to the city. It'd be very minimal. It'd be under $5,000 if there was any. Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
Steve Dorsones.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll. Yes. Jim Olive.
Yes.
Crystal Teddy.
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson.
Yes.
Doug Brown.
Yes.
Megan Bryant.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Mayor Barry.
Yes, motion carries 9-0.
Mr. Mayor, you're further declaring that according to how obviously the motion carried and the ordinance has been adopted, and you're going to sign this in the open meeting, you are also, again, directing the city clerk to record this ordinance in the records of the city council as of this date. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. David, did you have anything else that you needed to have taken care of to consummate this transaction?
No, we're good, Rocky. Everything's gone through fine. I'll help with the signatures here, if that's okay.
That's fine.
And David, tomorrow I've got the drafts of the city attorney opinion letter and the certificate that I can provide by email to you guys tomorrow.
That would be
I
fine.
think the city clerk needs to sign a certificate of it herself.
We'll talk about that Wednesday. Where does it go?
All right. Thanks, Rocky.
Everything's signed, Rocky. Thank you.
Okay, good, thanks.
Ordinance amending subparagraph A dash, or 8.1-4 and B.1.4 of section 7-1-4 of the Taylorville City Code, allowing one-time sublease of existing lake lots or campground site leases. Motion by Alderman Bud, second. Alderman Bryant, questions or comments?
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I just want to point out to everyone, I struggled with the drafting this ordinance. If you look at how I define what a sublease is, and if everyone's happy with that, if you look at it carefully, anybody who doesn't live with the tenant who has the lease, if someone else is occupying that lake lot or the campground site for more than 7 consecutive days, that's going to be considered a sublease and termination of that particular lease. Now, you need to understand that if someone says, okay, I'm going to uses it every Friday through Sunday, and then goes back to work during the week, it's not going to be considered a sublease. So what you may want to think about, instead of 7 consecutive days, you may want to say a total of 7 days during the lease term. And that should pick up those types of issues. So I throw that out there to you before you adopt that ordinance. If you want to put a total of 7 days or a total of whatever days you want to come up with to correct this issue that's surfaced. If you look at the ordinance, what it does say is that anybody right now that would be in violation of it, as written for this particular lease year only, you got a one-time ability to transfer or sublease it to that person on a fee of $250, and there's a new security deposit of $300. And then in future years, if it tries to get subleased again under your existing city code, which has been in the books for years, and under your existing lake lot and campground site leases, it would trigger a termination of those lease for that violation.
All right.
Do you
understand that? Do you want to amend your motion?
For 7 days,
7 total days.
7 total days.
Everyone understand the amended motion?
Yes.
Motion by Alderman Bud, second by Alderman Bryant to the amended motion. And second.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
You were just recapping.
Roll call.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yeah.
Chris Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
No.
Motion carries 7-1. Resolution, intergovernmental grant agreement with the IEPA. This is the grant that Chief Wheeler got, right?
No.
That was- So,
Unsewered grant.
the intergovernmental agreement with the grant for the IEPA. This is that unsewered property grant that we are applying for, correct, Bill?
Correct.
And it's paying $30,000.
I believe it's a $30,000 grant. It's, they're paying the full amount for the $30,000. There's no match money on that.
Right.
So,
All right. So we need a motion to approve that. Alderman Wilson, second.
second.
Alderman Skoltedi, questions or comments? Roll call.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Chris Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to tentatively approve the bid from Truman L. Flatt and Sons Company Incorporated for the East Main Cross FAU 7878 roadway improvements in the amount of $1,567,646.70, pending review by the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, DCEO, the funding agency. Motion to approve the bid.
Motion.
Alderman Bud, second. Alderman Olive, questions or comments?
I have a question.
Questions?
You guys heard anything back from Gecko?
From DC, no, we haven't submitted the stuff yet. We're waiting for more information from Truman Flat
Okay.
to see what they did for the, get the information for their DBEs on their good faith efforts. So we haven't gotten that back yet to submit to DCEO. So it could very well not get approved by DCEO in the end.
And just to let everybody know, this is the fast track grant that we received, and we received a grant for $1,551,000. So it's not quite the amount. And on top of the 1,567 that Truman and Flat did, will also owe approximately $150,000 in engineering fees for construction engineering. So it's all in the BDD area, so it'll be BDD eligible. So just wanted everyone to know, so motion to approve this bid. Motion by Alderman Bud and Wilson, and second by Alderman
That was bad.
Bud and Olive, right?
Yes.
Okay, roll call.
Chris Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll? Yes. Jim Olive?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. We're gonna skip the next motion. We don't know about it on East Main. And the next one is motion to approve the engineering proposal for preparation of contractor bid packet for street repairs to Illini Drive and Franklin Street, and direct Mayor Berry to sign such proposal.
So much.
Motion by Alderman Bryant, second. Alderman Wilson, questions or comments? Roll call.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll? Yes. Jim Olive?
Yes.
Chris Teddy?
Yes. Motion carries 8-0. City Attorney update, Rocky?
Yes, folks, we get the Ameren easement has now been executed and has been recorded. Recorder's office, I think each of you probably received a copy of it from my office. Secondly, is that I've been keeping you up to date on the litigation that is the two appeals pending on the Shahadi case, and also the hearing that took place recently. I did provide you a copy of his reply brief, and also he and another person that's in the custody of the sheriff's office has submitted some recent FOIA requests that I've provided you with copies of the reply letters to that. There is a next status hearing on the litigation is on the civil side, or the trial court is set for August 31st at 9 o'clock, and I'll bring you up to date after that hearing takes place. That's basically going to be a status to see what the appellate court has done with the case. At the last week of the meeting, those of you that were not at that committee level, on that highway authority agreement, I believe that we were able to persuade those engineers for cases to try, in exchange for you folks considering giving them a highway agreement, is to get the city out of the prior highway agreement that you had with Harper's Oil. So that's been kind of on the not tabled, but there's just no action taken until we hear back from them on that. And then IDHR, that pending matter, I've provided you with copies of the new attorneys that have been hired by your Travelers Insurance. Our request, as far as we know, is going to be into mediation, so we'll keep you advised as we find out things. Travelers, by the way, is going to be paying for that defense cost. Finally, I think that those of you that were at the other committee meeting, that the Taylorville Sanitary District and Taylorville Township has entered into discussions wanting the city to consider the taking over of certain of their equipment and lines. And I think everyone we've got a map of where all those are at, and I think that more information will be forthcoming, so there'll be no action on that tonight. So is there any other questions with those topics? If not, that'll conclude my report.
Thank you, sir. Mayoral report, we finally got the bid for East Main Cross project. Hopefully our engineers can work through the issues with DCEO and we can get started. It's been a very long time for a so-called fast track grant. Tomorrow night, our police are hosting National Night Out at the fairgrounds from 5 until 8. Inviting all aldermen to attend. Thank you to the salvage dogs for cooking, and thank you to everyone that has donated the items. The Tornado Open is this Saturday, the biggest fundraising event for our school. I hope everyone can try to enjoy that. We have a car cruise this Friday night at 8. And we also began cutting trees down on Palm Lee Street. There are more trees to be cut down. And I ask that each alderman step up and get a list of trees in their ward. That's the number one call I get, is trees ripping up sidewalks. So if people would go to their wards and try to decide what trees need to be cut down, then we can get with the tree board and get some new trees planted. If you want to take money out of Ward 5 for that, that's all right. And if you can take this out of your own ward money, whatever you guys would like to do on that. But please get a list of trees that need to come down. Committee reports. Discussion and/or motion to approve, adopt, and/or deny, and/or table, and/or amend, and/or refer to an appropriate committee in whole or in part the matters regarding the following subject matters discussed at the city committee level. Street and sewer, Alderman Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Make a motion to recommend the city council to approve the purchase of a generator for the Eastwood lift station. To be paid out of Ward 4 funds with a cost not to exceed $24,999.99.
Motion by Alderman Wilson, second. Alderman Dorsones, questions or comments?
Mr.
Rocky?
Mayor, I didn't hear that dollar amount. What was that dollar amount?
$24,999.99.
Okay, so you're under the 25,000 bidding requirements.
Amazing. Sounds a lot like the state of Illinois.
Roll call.
Doug
How
Brown,
did you go with that?
Yes.
Megan Bryant,
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Steve Dorsones.
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll.
Yes.
Jim Olive.
Yes.
Driscoll Teddy.
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion recommended the city council to accept written quotes for the removal of 11 trees on Palm East Street at a cost not to exceed $5,000 to be paid with Ward 5 funds. Oh, sorry, Wilson, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, motion to
Stop
recommend
me.
to the city council to accept written quotes for the removal of 11 trees on Pawnee Street at a cost not to exceed $5,000 to be paid with Ward 5 funds.
Motion by Alderman Wilson, second.
Second.
Alderman Bud, questions or comments?
Comments.
Comment, Alderman Driscoll?
Why are we now asking for written quotes when you've already removed the trees?
I've got written quotes here, that's what I was asked to do at the committee meeting. This tree cut was approved by Ward 1. What we're voting on tonight is to not charge it to Ward 1, but to charge it to Ward 5.
That is not at all, I was at that meeting, that's not at all how this was. This was, at that meeting said, had you brought to us, to the full council to approve, that you've already started the work, the trees have been cut down, sidewalks been poured, that's the next one.
Because my number one issue in this is to keep our school children safe. And we needed to get this done before school started.
This is not an
Now, our
emergency.
tree cut, yes it is, I don't want a kid to get hurt. We had trouble there last year when the hospital was doing the construction work during school. I did not want that to happen. So, we've been into school the first couple weeks, cutting trees down. I think it was a safety issue. So I went ahead, I got the quotes, I told you what the quotes were. It's under the $5,000, which was bid, which was, so. I just-
We were supposed to have written quotes. I was in the
Yeah,
audience,
right.
not on that, but
Right here.
was a contract made up? Was the contract signed before they started the work?
I don't know if the contract needs to be brought up for ward work, because we've done a lot of ward work without contracts, I believe.
Doesn't anything that's being spent by the Ward 5 need to have the approval of the whole council?
Correct, and that's what we're asking for now.
But you've already done, this is putting the cart before the
What,
horse.
do you want to pay it out of Ward 1? Or it's up to you what ward you want to pay it out of.
I'm just saying, why
Ward 1
things-
alderman agreed to pay for it, but I think it ought to come out of Ward 5 because it helps the whole community. Every ward sends their kids to North School and to the junior high. So I think it's a safety issue for our kids, and that's my number one priority, to keep our kids safe.
I'm sorry, anything can be called an emergency. I don't see this as an emergency. This sidewalk's been like this forever. You couldn't have waited one more week for us to have this on the committee as it's supposed to be on our council
Well, the
agenda.
guy, the tree cutter couldn't be there this week, you told me, so that's why we told him.
You can't bypass the proper protocol and methods that you're supposed to do. You can't just do that.
Well, there's a motion and a second.
Well, no,
Comments?
it's, you know, if it was approved by Ward 1, then this never should have come, if the trees were already going to be cut down.
That's why we're
School's
here.
been out, please don't interrupt me, school's been out since the middle of May, and now we're trying to push it till right before school starts so we can propose this as an emergency thing that needs to be done for school safety. Well, it's been out since the middle of May, and now this is how we do things, this is how things get done on here, is to try to push an agenda by pushing it off for so long until it's the very last minute, and oh no, it's an emergency. No, it's not an emergency, it's been that way for years. If Ward 1 wanted to pay for it, then it should have been done, and this never should have come here to be voted on for Ward 5. If we wanted Ward 5 to pay for it, and to be honest, before all this, I was probably gonna vote yes. And if we wanted it to go to Ward 5, then it needed to wait a week, it needed to wait 2 weeks. It did not need to be jumped in. There's a process for how this has to be done. And the council is the ones who are the ones that are in charge of holding policy and putting policy in place. It's not the mayor. We are the ones.
It's a safety issue for our children.
Okay, was it a safety issue in the middle of May? I mean,
We were waiting on this $200,000 grant for sidewalks that our engineers told us about a couple weeks ago that it wasn't gonna be this year.
the sidewalks weren't gonna pay to take down the trees.
We had to take the trees down in order to replace the sidewalk.
Absolutely, but you could
Right.
take the trees down in the middle of May, the middle of June, the 1st of July.
Well, we were waiting
Not
on,
the 1st
we
of
were
August.
waiting on this grant, and we were told about a couple weeks ago at our utility meeting that that grant was not forthcoming for at least a couple of years. And at that committee, we decided that we should cut the trees down and do the sidewalks. So that's what Ward 1
They
approved.
need to come down and
Right.
and the sidewalks need to be done. There's no doubt that that's the position that everybody on this council would agree with.
Right.
But what we don't agree with, and the majority of us that I've talked to, do not agree with having everything done before we've approved it.
Well,
The
then-
trees have come down before it's been approved for Ward 5.
Well, then we
The
can-
sidewalks have been put in before it's been approved for Ward 5.
Then
You know,
we'll-
and this is multiple times that things have happened on this council without council approval. I can go back, you know, we spent $10,000 on a COVID policy that the council never approved. Nobody on this council has approval above $2,000 to do it without council approval. Yet here we go again, we're approving it. So, you know, the city council's opinions and their votes are the ones that matter. Anybody that votes yes for any of this tonight is basically saying you agree, and I hate to take this out of Megan's mouth, but that you agree with saying that your opinion doesn't matter, that your vote doesn't matter.
No, I think everyone's vote matters, but.
It doesn't. How does it matter? We're doing it without our
The question is
approval.
whether we take it out of Ward 1 or Ward 5, and that's what the council has to decide.
Go out of Ward 5, it would have had to been approved and then done.
Okay?
Out of ward money, Ward 1, absolutely, cut your trees down, don't even worry about telling
To
them.
buy a
Ward
generator,
five,
All right.
to buy a generator out of Ward 4 doesn't even have to come to the council. They can just do it.
We came to Fort County.
They didn't have to. I'm just saying, if it wants to come out of Ward, it doesn't even have to come to council. This wouldn't even need to have been on here.
This motion is to accept written quotes.
Okay.
I have not seen any written quotes, and I don't believe any of the other 7 had seen any before we came to this meeting, so.
I could have gotten copies, but they're right there.
Well, why wouldn't you give us the quotes?
I didn't get the quotes till today, written.
Well,
I got them verbal.
So we got, so what you're saying is you got quotes, you got written quotes after somebody told somebody to cut trees down. I don't know who that was, but.
Well, I told them to cut the trees down because I wanted them cut down before school started.
Right,
And I
but
wanted
for
this
what
done
cost?
soon, $3,000.
Right,
It's not
but
about
that was a
And that's what
verbal.
we talked about at committee, and that's why we came up with the $5,000 maximum. Because we ended up cutting 14 trees down, because we cut 3 on Elm Street. That we decided, I think Ward 1 Alderman decided that they wanted to fix that sidewalk too, which leads to the schools. So there's a motion and a second on the floor, so roll call.
Megan Bryant?
No.
Larry Bud?
Yes?
Steve Dorsones?
No.
Kathy Driscoll?
No.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Chris Coltetti?
No.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Why even be on this council? Why even be on it?
Mayor votes yes, motion carries 5-4.
Unreal.
Motion to recommend to the city council to allow R&B Peters Construction to repair the sidewalk in Pleasant
Jeremy
Street.
should be reading this.
Oh, sorry, Wilson, I apologize.
Motion to recommend the city council allow R&B Peters Construction to repair the sidewalk on Pleasant Street, Harrison Street, with payment to be made using Ward 5 funds.
All right, motion by Alderman Wilson, second. Alderman Bud, questions or comments?
Comment.
Comment?
I questioned today why Ward 1 was getting their sidewalks paid for by Ward 5. I know in Ward 3, we've had to pay for our own out of our own money. And it was told to me by an alderman in Ward 1 that they would pay for their own sidewalks. So I just want to bring that up because I'm not real sure why our emergency fund is being used.
This came out of the committee on Thursday.
That's fine, I wasn't here, right, and I wasn't able to
That's why it's on the
attend.
agenda.
So I'm just saying, I don't personally agree with taking money out of our emergency fund to pay for another ward sidewalks.
Okay,
I have a comment as well.
all right.
First off, there's no number, there's no price on this, there's no monetary value. We're
He
ready to vote on
bids
something.
that at $5 per square foot.
We didn't get to see those written bids, so what was it?
That was bid 3 months ago, and that was
back
written
then?
bid.
Okay.
If you would read your packet.
So then, I have it right back,
okay.
don't even
Okay,
go there.
well, I'm just
Don't
saying, that
disrespect
was already
me.
in there. I'm
Don't
not
disrespect
disrespecting
me.
you.
Don't.
But I'm just
Ever.
saying, just go ahead.
My second comment is you calling it emergency, but then you said that it was an emergency, you said it wasn't an emergency until it became clear that we weren't gonna be getting this grant. So once we didn't get this grant, suddenly it's emergency, suddenly
Yeah.
it pushes through, really?
'Cause I think the
So it came down to
children
who's paying
deserve
for it?
Ward 5 is paying for it.
No, it came down to who was paying for it.
No, we can take
If
it
it
out of
was-
Ward 1, Kathy,
If
whatever
it
you
would
want
have
to
been
do.
paid for out of that grant, it wasn't an emergency.
Well, it would have been, yes.
It's not whatever Kathy wants to do, it's not whatever you want to do, it's whatever the 8 of us want to do.
All right, and
I
that's
get
why
so
we vote
tired
on
of
it.
hearing
That's why
it.
we vote on it.
But you're doing it beforehand. It's like my kid saying, can I stay out till midnight? Oh, but I'm sorry, I already came home at 2.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
I'm glad it's all a joking matter.
Roll call.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
No.
Kathy Driscoll?
No.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Driscoll Teddy?
Oh, hell no.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
You've got to be kidding me right now.
Megan Bryant?
Megan, your vote?
No,
Mayor votes yes, motion carries 5-4.
I hope you guys are proud of yourselves.
Public facilities. Alderman Olive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to recommend the city council to rebid the municipal building rear parking lot project using the bid documents previously provided by Benton and Associates. Put that in form of a motion.
Motion by Alderman Olive, second.
Correct.
Alderman Wilson. Questions or comments? Roll call.
Steve Dorsones?
Yes.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Driscoll Teddy?
Yes.
Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0. Motion to approve or ratify payment of bills of $297,369.98. Motion by Alderman Bud, second.
Second.
Alderman Dorsones, questions or comments? Roll call.
Kathy Driscoll?
Yes.
Jim Olive?
Yes.
Driscoll Teddy? Jeremy Wilson?
Yes.
Doug Brown?
Yes.
Megan Bryant?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Steve Dorsones?
Motion carries 8-0. First subparagraph G of 5 ILCS 120/2.06. This portion of the city council meeting is reserved for any person wishing to address the council on any relevant subject matters concerning the city. The Illinois Open Meeting Act 5 ILCS 120/1 at C mandates no action shall be taken on subject matters not listed on the agenda, but the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the subject matter to a future council and or committee meeting. If anyone wishes to address the council, please provide your name and address, limit your comments or presentation to 3 minutes, and avoid repetitious comments. Thank you. Anyone would like to speak? Anyone in
I
the
have a
audience?
question. I
Alderman?
have a question.
Okay.
Yes, I direct your attention, folks, to the Street and Sewer Committee meeting notes. I'm asking Jeremy Wilson as chairman. As you may recall, Ken Hart from representing Taylorville Development Association and their engineer Phil Martin was at that meeting.
Correct.
It wasn't an agenda item, it came under other matters, so you couldn't take any action on it.
Yeah.
But it looked like that the engineer, Bill Sleeman, the city engineer, recommended that, of the request to release the 94,000, he would okay that with the exception of $10,000 that would be released after the final walkthrough, and also mentioned some further work from Aaron. I'm just asking Mr. Wilson as chairman, does he prefer to have that brought back up on agenda on your next committee meeting? Or are you comfortable with just putting on the city council, next city council meeting for a vote?
Next city council meeting will be fine.
Okay, so I would ask Mr. Mayor if that can get on the council for that.
Okay. You got that down, Julie?
Sure.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to
That's it.
speak? Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Bryant, second by Alderman Dorsones, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.